Good morning and welcome in to the first ever live bracket reveal show here on KSLSports.com. We've got the 1A Fall Baseball Bracket Reveal Show on the UHSAA website as well as KSLSports.com. Hello, I'm Trevor Allen, joined by two guys who will be covering the entire tournament for the 1A Fall Baseball State Tournament. We've got Mike Ahlstrom and David Tebbs from Utah High School Sportscasts. We will get to them here in just a minute, but just to kind of explain to you guys how this is going to work throughout the school year. KSL Sports, who is your exclusive home for streaming championship games in the entire state of Utah, is now the exclusive rights holder for bracket reveal shows. So rather than waiting, a little bit later, we're now going to be doing it live at 10 o'clock, and then the UHSA will then release the brackets out on social media and all their platforms and all that. But we get to do it here first. So first, Mike, really, fun times. Baseball is still here, even though we're in the heart of football season and all that. Some really good matchups coming up. We'll obviously talk about it, but just your overall thoughts going into the tournament.
It should be a great tournament. There's some really good teams, and there's been some upsets this year. Some teams, in 1A baseball, you've got some really good teams, but their pitching staffs aren't as deep as you go to 2 and 3 and the bigger schools, they've got a bullpen, some POs, some pitchers onlys. 1A baseball, your best pitcher is probably your shortstop. So it really creates for some interesting matchups. When do you use that pitcher? It should be a good tournament.
All right, and then David, you're getting rolling too. You're more of the color analyst and things like that, but also getting it out and up and running, right?
It's a great time of year. I love it really pushes our creativity with different camera angles, but really the baseball, 1A baseball is unique. Like Mike said, some of it comes down to pitching depth and pitch counts. And as you get down to those last few days of the tournament, it is exciting because you may have one pitcher start a game, pitch a couple innings, he's out, another one in. The strategy that comes into play around pitching, and our players are diverse players. That they're not position players, like Mike said. They have to play multiple positions because that pitch count may come out of left, that pitcher may come out of left field, right field, shortstop. So you've got to have key position players that really can play the whole field.
Pretty much the ultimate game of chess for managers, right?
It is. It's exciting.
All right, are you guys ready to bust out the brackets?
Absolutely. Let's bring it.
All right, here we go. The number one seed for the fourth straight year is the Panguitch Bobcats, led by Coach Raleigh Birmingham in his 9th season. Had a 19-3 overall record, 10-2 in region play. 1A South region champs. They've won 10 state championships, including last year. And they will take on the 16 seed Merit Prep Knights out of Springville. And they had a 4-14 overall season, 4-12 in region play, finished 6th in 2A fall region. Mike, a typical one versus one seed. Panguitch 4 straight years coming in as the number one seed.
And Panguitch they are the top team. There's no hands. It's hands down. They are the team to beat. Now, I think there's some challengers out there that are good teams that can give them a run for their money. Paiutes beat them this year. Valley beat them this year. Panguitch has probably got the deepest pitching staff. They've got a sophomore,
Ramsey.
Traeger's a junior. He pitched a no-hitter against Paiute last week. That's a 1-4 preview type thing, and he pitched a no-hitter in 5. Panguitch toppled the T-Birds. Some of the leaders, Quade Vader, his bat, he bats over 500. He absolutely is a phenomenal player and is a spark plug for the Bobcats.
And then we'll go into the next matchup, the number 8 seed out of Eureka, Utah, the Tintic Miners head coach Jesse Larson, leading his team to a 6-10 overall record, 3-2 in region play, finished 2nd in 1A North, and they are 3-3 in their last 6 games. They will take on the number 9 seed Pinnacle Panthers out of Price, Utah. Head coach Ray Jones, 7-10 overall record, 4-8 in region play, 5th in 1A in 1A South.
And Tintic is a team that is extremely interesting to me. They absolutely rake. Like we played them, Bryce Valley played them a couple weeks ago, and it was 12-14. Bryce Valley had to score 14 points to get that victory. Tintic had 14 hits against a decent pitching staff. It wasn't like Bryce Valley threw, a freshman pitcher to them to just take the beating. It was we threw a couple of our better pitchers, and Tintic hits the ball really well. They've got Camden Johnson with 619 batting average, Gavin Bratt with 576, Emmett Despain 531. Their pitching staff is their issue. They don't have as deep a pitching staff. Once you get past their 1 and 2, they are a little suspect. So should be an interesting matchup.
This could be probably one of the better matchups of this second round coming into the tournament, or because they're both pretty well balanced. Pinnacle, Mike, they played well when they played Bryce Valley. I know I heard a lot of the players talk about that they came out pretty strong when they played here at Bryce Valley. So
Pinnacle has the Howell brothers, and when they put Brody Howell, the senior, on the mound, he's a great pitcher. He's got a good win against Valley, and they beat Wayne County. Pinnacle can beat you if you don't play good baseball. Looking at the ERA for Brody Howell, he has a 5.78 ERA, but they also can hit the ball. Brody has a 475 average, and his little brother Joey, they're senior, both seniors, he has a 405, and then Bryson Shumway with a 394 average. So that should be a good matchup. I'm excited about that 8-9 game.
And then we go into the bottom half of the upper bracket. We've got the number 4 seed Paiute Thunderbirds out of Junction, Utah. They are the runner-up last year, lost to Panguitch in the state championship game. Coach Andy Barney leading them to a 13-7 overall record, 8-4 in region play, finished 3rd in 1A South. They were also the 4 seed last year, beat Valley in the consolation quarterfinals and Bryce Valley in the consolation semifinals. But they've also won 8 of their last 10 games, won 10 state championships, which includes five straight state championships from 2018 to 2022. They will take on the number 13 seed Mazer Prep Academy Lions out of Linden, Utah, and they have a 10-7 record. Also in overall and in region play, 5th in 2A fall. Ended the season on a 2-game winning streak.
Paiute is the team that for the last, like you said, since 2018, the state tournament has had to go through Paiute basically. Even last year, Panguitch had to knock off the T-Birds to get that title. They're led by their senior, Blake Dalton, one of the best catchers in the state, if not the best catcher in the state as a senior. He bats .547. His on-base percentage is .635. Then you have Nash Fountain with a .547 batting average, Brage Millett with .590, and Bodie Gaylor. He'll bat usually in the 4-hole for him, and if you slip up and leave one in the middle, it might leave the park. T-Birds are deep. They have a good pitching staff with Brody Montague, the senior, with a 3.32 ERA, and Blake Dalton with a 2.2 ERA. So Paiute is deep. They hit the ball well. They are a team to be that. There'll be there may be a little blood on the field by the time you get to that quarterfinal round and Bobcats and T-Birds match up, because that'll be a good game.
I like to call that an in-stake rivalry when Panguitch and Paiute match up. Here in Utah, some people will get that terminology, but that's definitely an in-stake rivalry.
There you go. All right, and then we go to the bottom of this bracket. We've got the number 5 seed Altamont Longhorns with head coach Chaz Fisher leading them to a 16-8 overall record, 4-1 in region play. They are the 1A North region champions. They have outscored their opponents 227 to 133 this season, and they've won 7 of their last 9 games. They will take on the 12 seed Utah Military Academy Hill Field, who are out in Riverdale. Head coach Brett Olson. 10-7 overall record, 10-6 in region play, 4th in 2A fall. They're currently on a 2-game losing streak.
You know, Altamont is 6-8 on the season. Those 8 losses have come against Bryce Valley, Panguitch, Paiute. I tip my hat to Altamont the last few years. They're like, hey, we want to get better. Coach Chaz has brought them down, and they have purposely scheduled games against the toughest teams in the state to try and develop. And they have a great program. Keaton Huff, 500 average, Levi Scott, 433, Briggs Wall with 424. 6 home runs as a team on the season. Coy Lawton, a .62 ERA, which is, I mean, he's working his way towards the state record if he's careful. Levi Scott, 382. Colt Duncan, a 392 ERA. Altamont is a tough out. They are a really good team that in that next game, that 4-5, they could topple Paiute pretty easily if their pitching's on and their bats come to work.
You know, one stat that stands out to me is their high scoring offense. They have 227 runs scored this year.
Yeah.
And the run differential leading other contenders for the region title is a +94. So they put some runs up this year.
They absolutely have. And then you look at Utah Military Academy. They're, like you said, their record's 10-7. They Ryan Wankler, 5.38 ERA. Braden Emmett, 451. Asher Allen, 444. And their ERAs from their pitchers, they've got Jesus Contreras with 344, Parker Tingley at 434, and Asher Allen with a 534 ERA. So 10-7 on the season. This could be a good matchup. You just never know how it's going to shake out, but Altamont has been playing some pretty good baseball as of late.
All right, that is the upper bracket. We still have one more to go, guys. Here we go. Let's bring that one up. And here it is, the number 2 seed, Bryce Valley Mustangs out of Tropic, Utah. Head coach Tyler Chappell in his first season, leading them to another number 2 seed, 18-6 overall, 8-4 in region play. Now the crazy thing is, 4th in 1A South. That just means that 1A South is stacked. And they lost to Panguitch in the semifinals, and then Paiute in the consolation semifinals last year. 7 state championships in other sports, but they've never won a baseball title. They will try to change that this year, and then they will take on the number 15 seed, the Utah Military Academy out in Camp Williams, the Monitors out of Lehigh. They have a 4-13 overall record, and in region play as well, 7th in 2A fall. They're 4-5 in their last 9 games of the year.
You know, Bryce Valley has just never been able to break the top and get a championship in baseball. But I feel like this year, if there's a year that they've been prepared, it is this year, led by Antonio Moreno, senior. He bats .459. He has 29 RBIs. As a starting pitcher, he's 8-2 with an ERA of 1.85. And then Rodolfo Perez, probably the best catcher in the state, arguably. He's 507 with his bat. He has 6 home runs, 23 RBIs on the season. And then Trevin Clark, a junior for Bryce Valley, has stepped up big this year. He's batting .371 with 26 hits and 27 RBIs. So for Bryce Valley, that's your leading hitters, and Bryce Valley and Coach I know we've got Coach Chappell set to talk to us here in a little bit, but I'm excited to see if Bryce Valley can get it done this year. They've put in a lot of work, like all the teams have. But
guys, Bryce Valley's kind of right there with that Altamont run scored. With that power bat of Bryce Valley with 228 runs scored, one more than Altamont, with a run differential of like plus 49 in their region. So Bryce Valley, or maybe that one maybe is not the region, but in the state. So, good bats by the Mustangs, good base running, and they're able to put some runs on the board too.
And then now going to who the winner of this game will take on the winner of number 7 Draper APA Eagles. Bob Shoemaker bringing his team in with a 13-6 overall record, 13-5 in region play, finished second in 2A fall. They're on a 4-game winning streak with wins against Intermountain Christian twice and American Heritage and Mazer Prep once. And they will take on the number 10 seed Wayne Badgers out of Bicknell. Jaden Ellett, the head coach, 6-14 overall record, 2-10 in 1A South, which is 6th place, but still a stacked region. Finished the season winning 3 of their last 5 games. They have 7 state championships with their last in 2023.
And this is the big surprise in this bracket revealed to me. As of Friday, Wayne County was 7, Draper PA was 10.
So they were flipped.
They actually flipped. Wayne County lost to Bryce Valley, and Draper PA beat the number 5 seed ICS, number 6 seed, ICS. And those two teams completely flipped, which that's quite a slide for Wayne County, and it gave up the home field advantage for them. Draper APA, led by Oliver Wagner with a 612 batting average, on base of 689. Earned run, they've got a couple decent pitchers. Lincoln Davis, 494 ERA, and Oliver Wagner, 689. So it should be an interesting matchup. Wayne County's been kind of streaky, to be honest. They'll put a bunch of runs on the board, and then they'll give up a game that they just give it away with errors. Their errors are really what have cost them in their games. Slade Taylor, 429, Blake Peterson, 333, and Hunter Robbins, 327. Hunter Robbins bat if it wakes up this year. Last year he hit for the cycle against Bryce Valley. And it was a high scoring game. But Hunter Robbins' bat, if he gets hot, watch out.
In that matchup, that's another one of those exciting matchups, pretty evenly matched. Great players on both sides. That one should be an exciting game to watch here in this first round too.
And then going into the next matchup, the bottom half of this bracket is the number 3 seed Valley Buffaloes out of Orderville. Coach Lance Pearson bringing his team in with a 10-5 overall record, 9-3 in region play, second in 1A South. They were the number 6 seed last year. They lost to Bryce Valley in the quarterfinals and to Paiute in the consolation quarterfinals. They finished this season winning 6 of their last 8 games. They have 3 state championships, with their last coming in 2017. They will take on the number 14 seed Green River Pirates. Head coach Devin Meadows bringing his team in with a 2-15 overall record, 1-11 in region play, 7th in 1A South. They have wins over Wendover and Wayne County, and they have 3 state championships, with their last coming in 2000.
And Valley is a phenomenal team. Their one weakness is their pitching staff. They are led by their senior Hogan Harris, and he is a phenomenal pitcher. He has a .88 ERA currently, and he will shut a team down. He held Panguitch to 2 runs in a close game the other day. Hogan Harris is the real deal. And then after that, their pitching staff gets a little suspect. Good enough to get some wins, but if the other team gets going, they're going to give up some runs. And Green River beat Wayne County this year. They only have 2 wins on the season, but they're not an easy out. They absolutely hit the ball well. Their pitching staff is adequate. It's just they play in a tough region and got a lot of, when you have to play Panguitch, Paiute Valley, and Bryce Valley twice, it's this year, that's a tough out.
If you guys wonder if people love baseball in Wayne County, Wayne High School, I just want to point out Bryce Valley's head coach, Chappell, a Wayne County alumni. Wayne County's coach, Ellett, Wayne County alumni, Wayne High School alumni, and Valley High School's coach, Peterson, Wayne County alumni. They come from a great program out there in Wayne County. They produce some great coaches and great players over the years.
Yeah. And then the final matchup in this bracket is the number 6 seed Intermountain Christian Lions out of Salt Lake City, Utah, with head coach George Sherrill, bringing his team in with an 18-3 overall record, 15-2 in region play, the 2A fall region champions. Here's something crazy, guys. They started out the season in the opener losing to Altamont, and then they won 17 straight games. Then they lost to a Draper APA, and then they beat Utah Military Academy Hillfield, and then ended the season with the 14-4 loss to Draper APA. They have outscored their opponents 327 to 122 this season. And in their matchup against American Heritage, they have outscored the Patriots 32-14 in their 2 games this season. And they will take on the number 11 seed American Heritage Patriots out of American Fork. Coach Blake Jansen, 12-11 overall record, 10-5 in region play, 3rd in 2A fall region. They've won 4 of their last 6 games to end the season, and they have 2 state championships going back to back in 2021 and 2022.
Yeah, ICS is a really good team. I was trying to figure out what's going on there because they were basically dominant through their region. They did lose to Altamont. And Coy White is 9-1 as a starting pitcher for ICS. He has a 2.89 ERA. He hasn't pitched in those losses. And so I don't know. And he pitched in the early game against APA and didn't in the last. And it makes me wonder, it's like, well, were they holding him? Because a lot of times strategy comes in play when you don't have a lot of pitchers. Maybe it's like, hey, we showed that pitcher to this team once. We're not going to do it again. Or if he's hurt, I'm not sure. But a really good pitcher, 9-1 on the season. For batting, Jackson Smith, 462. David Rist, 448. Coy White, 447. RBIs, the whole team has RBIs to score that many runs on the season. So ICS is going to be a tough out. An American Heritage, let me pull them up. Justin Robertson's 554, Adam Lee 410. Their ERA, their pitchers, Justin Robinson 5.75, Tanner Broadbank 597, and Henry Allred 676 to wrap it up for the American Heritage.
A lot of their losses coming from teams the likes of Paiute, Valley, Tindick, some of these other great teams that those are some tough games to come out with a win on too.
Yeah, American Heritage actually came down to that Valley tournament, and they got some losses there. But it all, it's one of those things that I don't understand that sometimes some of the team you don't, and I get you don't want to play teams way out of your league, or it doesn't do you any good to get smashed, beat bad, but iron sharpens iron, right? You've got to face better pitching. You've got to play better teams to get better. And American Heritage came down. They took some losses to do so. But I tip my hat to Altamont because of that. Altamont came down time after time after time, and they got a couple wins, but they took some losses. But I feel like they're a better team for it.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring in a coach. He's not going to be on video just because he's at work. We totally understand it. We're going to bring in the head coach of Panguitch, Raleigh Birmingham. Coach, can you hear us?
I can.
All right, Coach. So obviously 4th straight year being the number 1 seed. Is there any added pressure, especially winning a state championship last year?
I don't know how to say it, but there's always pressure on Penguins, right?
Yeah.
Mike and Dave can attest for that. I mean, the target's always on our back, and we're okay with that. I feel like, and we've earned that, and that's not being cocky and arrogant or anything else, but and it's not me. It's the program. It's the boys. They work hard. They put their heart and soul into the game of baseball, and credit to them. They've earned that number one seed. I feel like this year, maybe more than ever.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue. It's always I'm a Penguins alumni too, and I've coached against brothers that were playing, and it's always a good day when you can come away with a win in Penguins. That's for sure. I'm not going to lie, Raleigh. And even though I'm an alumni, but yeah, you've run a great program. 9 years now, is that right?
Correct.
You've been the head coach.
This is I was Coach Barney's assistant for 7 or 8 years, and then this is my 9th. So, it's been a journey. So.
Yeah. I've got a question. I know people are wondering how, football, Penguins' first year in football, has that affected your program at all?
It hasn't. Could it long term? Yes, but no, it's very, very little.
Okay. So you've drawn this matchup. Mike, do you want to take the lead on that one? If you have
I was just going to say, I was actually going to have Raleigh talk. I appreciate you taking the time, Raleigh. I love the way you coach your team. You give credit to the boys as a head coach should, but man alive, you coach the kids hard. I don't ever see you let them taking a bat off or a play off, and I tip my hat to you for that, because that takes a lot of work. You come in. Do you know much about Merritt? Have you seen them at all?
I don't. I mean, I know nothing more than what I can see on stats or anything. I mean, and that's okay. I mean, we try. Maybe this year has been harder than any year, as you can attest, being involved to play those teams. For whatever reason, it's one of those things that it is what it is. If they're not interested in playing, that's. I heard you say earlier, iron sharpens iron, and there's so much truth to that. Like, I'm looking at scheduling the toughest schedule possible for my team.
Which, I mean, that's how you see the better pitchers. Although I will say it's kind of interesting sometimes, like for Bryce Valley right now, I feel like if you throw a pitcher that's throwing 45, we just pop it up, because, you throw a 75, 80, we can get on top of it. But one question I wanted to talk to you about, that Paiute game on Friday. Wow, what a game. Or was it Wednesday? No, Friday.
Friday.
Anyway, Ramsey with a no-hitter, that's impressive. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that game.
100%. Great team win all around. Tip my cap to Traeger. I mean, he threw a great game. And then on top of that, not to take any credit away from him, because he definitely threw excellent, but it's for us, and you can, being a coach, it's all about defense.
Yeah.
We gave up in that game 4 walks, and 3 of those walks grounded into double plays, and it turned out to be great for us. I mean, so as good as that no-hitter is, and as good as true, that doesn't happen without a great defense. So, I mean, tons of credit all the way around. And then on the other side of the spectrum, I mean, we hit the cover off the baseball. I think we had 14 hits in 5 innings, and just hit the ball hard. It's been 3 weeks ago. Paiute came to Panguitch, and they handed it to us. The Montague kid threw against us and threw well, and we struggled hitting the ball that night. And you know what? That's maybe the turning point for us this year is taking that loss and seeing that we're not untouchable, and that, myself included, we've got to make adjustments. We've got to do something different on a day-to-day basis to make those in-game adjustments to be able to hit a good pitcher.
Yeah, exactly. I remember you telling me that as well about the Valley game, because wasn't it Traeger as well that
Correct.
pitched? He had a great game going until Valley walked it off. It was 0-0, right, in the bottom of the seventh.
Yeah, and we actually made a pitching change there, and one pitch, game over.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to see. He's developed really well. I really like the Ramsey kid.
So Raleigh, quick question for you. Coaching a game like that, 0-0 walk off. I mean, that's an intense game. How's that compared to playing an intense game, being a coach in an intense?
You know what? It's not. It's hard to explain, because the thing about a coach is, even though we can say that we have control, we're not, right? I mean, we as a player, you can control yourself, right? As a coach, I can control things throughout the game, but that's the biggest difference to me, is that those boys still have the control, which rightfully so they should, right? So that's the biggest adjustment for me from being a player to a coach, is just being able to support them and, coach. That's part of my coaching, is coaching them in those moments. We pride ourselves on working harder than anyone in practice, because if you practice 70%, you're not gonna, when you get into a high tense situation in a game, that 70% of practice drops you down to 50%, versus if you're practicing at 110% in a high stress situation, man, you're going to be above the rest because of your preparation.
Now, Coach, I just want to finish on this. And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. You guys have come in 4 straight years as the number 1 seed in this tournament. And then also, you've got Mike actually has another question. I'll let him end on it here in just a second. But and then you guys obviously winning state last year. So you guys don't have a single player on your roster that hasn't gone into a tournament being the number 1 seed, and then all your underclassmen last year winning state coming into this year. What is kind of the whole mindset? What do you talk to your team about not overlooking opponents and just taking it game by game in this tournament?
We it's tough, right? I mean, anyone that's involved in any kind of athletics, it's a battle to be a high ranked team early in a tournament, to play these teams and not overlook them, right? Because maybe more so this year than ever, man, it has been the craziest of the number 1 team getting beat by the 2 and 3 team, and the number 2 team getting beat by the number 7 team. Like, it's a crazy, crazy year. But we're all about just that winning mentality and taking that one game at a time, because at this point of the year, one game, you're done. And if I don't, and that might be where I differ from a lot of people, and my coaching strategy is, if I've got one game to win to make it to the next one, I'm going at my best. My best pitcher is going to throw. My best defense is going to be out there. I'm not taking a game off in hopes to save somebody for another game.
That's and hey, I've seen that for years, Raleigh, and again, I tip my hat to you. Good luck in the tournament, man. Thanks for taking a minute. I just want you to touch on like this. I feel this year more than ever, and maybe it's because the difference in the RPIs. It's interesting. I feel like the southern region has kind of battled it out, and the northern region's kind of battled it out. Other than 1 or 2 teams, there's not a lot of crossover, and I don't know. Do you have any suggestions on how we get that changed?
Get
that intermingled play.
I think it's going to have to come. I don't think we can control that, right? And I think about it year in and year out, like, how do you do it? And I think until the day comes that either all of the coaches get together or the state gets involved and says, you know what, you've got to play X amount of games against the top teams, or, you've got to play, what is there, 16 of us? We're allowed
17, I think.
17. We're allowed 25 regular season games. You've got to play, at least 10 of those 16 teams or something. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is because I don't think us as coaches can control that. But I definitely think that, and it goes back to right before when you talked about iron sharpens iron. If for me, and I'm not telling them how to coach, but when you play good competition, it makes you better. It does. I don't care who you are. That's just how it is. You play good teams and you're going to get better no matter how bad you are or whatever. That's why I still every year I'm okay with playing Bryce Valley, Paiute, Wayne County, Valley 2 and 3 times each. Yeah. Can it get old? Yeah, but I'm getting better from it.
Right. You get to know each other better, but yeah,
You do.
I see what you mean.
It's definitely can be a downfall when you come into a state tournament and you've already played a team 3 or 4 times and there's a possibility of playing 2 more. But at the end of the day, you're going to get better and longevity, your program is going to be better for it.
Well,
Awesome.
Coach, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us, and good luck in this tournament.
And thank you, guys.
See you, Raleigh.
There you
See
go.
you,
That is Raleigh Birmingham, the head coach of the Penguich Bobcats, the number 1 seed. We'll now go to the number 2 seed, the head coach of the Bryce Valley Mustangs, Tyler Chappell. And Coach, he's actually bringing the background
There we
today.
go.
How about that, Coach? How are you?
I will say
I'm doing
this,
great.
Trevor. I will say this, Trevor. That's the most beautiful background of a baseball field you'll ever see, with the Powell Point, Escalante Mountain behind him.
There you go, Coach. Coming in your first year, going into the tournament, number 2 seed once again. How are you and your team feeling going into the state tournament?
We're feeling really good. We've had a great year, a lot of ups and downs, but we've seen a lot of great stuff from our guys from 1 through 9, and even beyond that, we've had a couple other freshmen that have had to step up in situations where we got guys hurt and things like that, and they've stepped up and played well. So we're excited.
Tyler, I'd like you to talk about this year. Was kind of interesting. Bryce Valley lost 4 seniors last year. And then we had one move. Bryce Valley had a junior move away. And so there's really only 3 players in the starting lineup that had any real varsity experience. How have you taken at times 2 or 3 freshmen and then the juniors, because there's 0 sophomores in Bryce Valley? I'd like you to talk about the progress from those underclassmen.
Absolutely. Yeah, just like you said, we've only got 3 players that played any varsity last year. And so coming into the season, it was kind of a challenge and a little bit of a puzzle trying to figure out where everybody was going to fit in. We talked about it, and Mike can attest to this. After a couple of our games to start with, we played our first game against Valley, and we got beat 8-0. A lot of weird stuff going on, some errors that cost us. And after the game, it was a conversation of, hey, we've got 7 guys starting in brand new positions this year. And so there's going to be a little bit of that growing pain, but I've just been ecstatic with the growth that I've seen from the players. Talk about Trevin Clark playing on first base, somewhere that he hadn't played before, and he's done a phenomenal job. He has very minimal errors over there. Brace Syret, Gerardo Lopez starting in the infield. And it's funny, Gerardo's kind of been our Swiss Army knife. We've put him in, I think, 6 different positions over the year. And
7.
he's come out and played well.
He's actually got to put out at 7 different positions.
7 spots. And so having players like that who are reliable in a bunch of different situations has been very, very helpful. I'm really proud of our juniors that, like I said, a lot of them came in with no experience, and they've played really, really well.
It's awesome. I love you've got some freshmen that step up, and because you've got a senior, Mason's been out for almost a week with arm pain, and that puts Nixon Pedroza on the field, plays a great outfield. Brig Brinkerhoff, a freshman, no varsity experience, and he's hitting the ball well. He very few errors, just a solid freshman for the Mustangs.
Absolutely. And Brig, I was just pulling up the stats. He's batting .265 as a freshman against, I mean, we've played really great competition. We've played, a bunch of those top teams quite a few times. And to have, somebody like Brig come in and bat that well has really boosted our lineup.
Absolutely.
So Tyler, first year head coach at Bryce Valley. You did assist last year, and how many years were you the assistant?
Just last year.
1 year. Coming out of Wayne County, Wayne High School. As you go into those games with Wayne, and did you play with Coach Ellett too? Was he one of your teammates?
Yeah, coach. The head coach, Jaden Ellett, he was a senior when I was a sophomore, and we ended up winning the state championship in 2015 together. It's fun to see that connection. Yeah,
you go into that game. Tell me what are you feeling? What's your thought process?
It's always good to see those guys, and Coach Ellett's dad is still on the coaching staff, Scott Ellett. He was my head coach all through high school, and so everything that I feel like I bring to the game, I think I learned from Coach Scott Ellett. And so to see those guys and be able to talk to them before the game and have them compliment me on my coaching and on how our team is doing is a really cool experience to kind of see it come full circle.
Did you feel a little more pressure in those games to go over in Wayne High School and get a win?
Yeah. Obviously I know all the fans over there. My dad's still the principal of Wayne High School. And so going over there in front of, my hometown and the people that I grew up with, and luckily we were able to pull out a win, but it was a difficult game. They jumped up on us and scored a bunch of runs. We got down by quite a bit and had to pull it back, but it's always a good time to go play Wayne County.
Now, Tyler, I wanted to ask, coming into the season, you were saying obviously really, really young, a lot of guys, that don't have, a ton of varsity experience, but you guys then go and outscore your opponents 228 to 104 this season, and you're on a 4-game winning streak. How does that happen?
I have to give all the credit to the players. We've got a couple really great seniors that have been leaders this year. As we started the season off, we really wanted to focus on getting our bats up. And so when I came in, one of the first things that I wanted to do was focus on batting practice. And so we'd go in the mornings for about 2 hours and just bat before school started. I think that's been a really huge help. A lot of our players are batting, well above average. And so that's been a huge help. And then not only that, but having them step up on the defensive side. There are games where we've had a couple errors, but for the most part, our defense has been pretty clean. And so I think just the mentality, and buying in from the players that this is a year that we can be successful has really helped to boost everybody's morale and have a desire to play the game well and to work hard.
You guys drew Utah Military Academy Camp Williams out of Lehigh. Do you know much about them coming in, or
I don't know. We haven't played them before, so all we can see is what we can see on the stats. But I think that especially in this 1A state tournament, you just have to recognize that in order to win a championship, you're going to have to go through tough teams. So we're just going to go out and play whoever's in front of us and kind of take that mentality.
You talk, or David asked about the run differential and the runs scored. And one thing I'd like to point out is you've got your seniors, Antonio Moreno and Rocco Perez, and their bats are phenomenal. And you touched on it with their leadership. One thing that doesn't show up in the stats unless you really look for it, Antonio's batting I lost it. What is it? 459 with 30 walks on the season. And probably 15 of those are intentional walks because they don't want to see what his bat's going to do. I'd love for you to just expound on his and those guys' approach when things gets tough.
Yeah, one thing that I love about Kata, about Antonio, is he's just so level-headed. It doesn't matter if they walk him intentionally, if he's struck out the last 3 times up at bat, his approach doesn't change. And that's something that I love to see. I'd love to see it in our other players as well. And including, on the defensive side, he's our starting shortstop if he's not on the mound. And there have been times that we'll get bases loaded with 0 outs and we pull him in to come pitch. And, for a lot of guys that would kind of rattle their brains and kind of get in their heads a little bit, but he comes up and he's just calm and collected and he goes to work. So that's something that I think has been a huge example to the younger kids, of just being level-headed, keep the same approach and go to work. So I've really appreciated that from him and from Rocco as well. He's done a good job about that as well.
Coach,
Awesome.
again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're really deep into trying to prep for your tournament opener tomorrow. And again, thank you for that great backdrop for our audience, just to know exactly of what they have to look forward to when they go to Bryce Valley baseball games.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, good luck in this tournament, Coach.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck,
Thanks,
Coach.
Tyler. There you go. That is Tyler Chappell, the head coach of the Bryce Valley Mustangs, picking up the number 2 seed for the Mustangs out of Tropic, Utah. Now, guys, we'll wrap up with this. Let's start with this bracket, just breaking it down. Some matchups that we could potentially see tomorrow, or even see coming up next week in the games that you guys will be streaming for KSL Sports.
Tinnick and Pinnacle, I think, is going to be a really good game. That's going to be one to watch. I feel bad those two teams had to meet there, because I feel like both of them have a legitimate chance to move forward if they're playing lesser teams, So, but that's what happens when you're the 8-9 seed, right? I mean, but that should be a good game. Altamont and Paiute is going to be an extremely interesting matchup in that second round, and Panguitch and Pinnacle. Though Pinnacle and Tinnick will have their hands full with Panguitch in that second round.
And I would agree. I think I see Panguitch advancing. Tinnick, Pinnacle, I'm not going to make any predictions there. Paiute, I feel like will advance, and most likely I feel like Altamont will advance. Just, if they approach those games with their best, they'll advance, I feel like.
Now, if say that Paiute and Altamont do advance out of the first round, that sets up for a good second round matchup up at Maple.
Oh boy,
that will be a good matchup.
Yeah, and that's going to come down to the pitching decision. 100% is one of those teams going to say, "Hey, we're going to try and save," because that game's on Tuesday, and then your quarterfinals in the is on Thursday. So any pitcher that throws 65 over 61 pitches has to have 2 days rest. They're not available for Thursday. So that's the game there that if you try something funny with pitching, which it'll have an impact on what you do Thursday, I understand that, but
that's my question, was if the games would have been played when they originally scheduled on Monday, you would have had 2 days rest. You could start fresh pitching on Thursday. Is that
you could go to 80. You could go to 85 pitches, and on 2 days rest, that same pitcher could start on Thursday. But by being played on Tuesday, that limits you to 60 pitches.
We're pitching such a big strategic move here. That 1 day game day change, it puts it in the air.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how these coaches manage their pitching staff. Let's go ahead and a quick breakdown of this lower bracket. Some matchups that could potentially happen in this one.
ICS American Heritage, those two teams have played a few times, and I thought
Intermountain Christian won both of them.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, ICS and American Heritage, Intermountain Christian. 6-11. ICS is if I could get my schedule to I was thinking, I'm sorry, I thought that ICS had beat American Heritage, but that American Heritage had beat ICS, but they haven't. So
no, they didn't.
That tip that to ICS. Green River Valley's beaten them a couple times on the season. although Green River did beat Wayne County, and so depending on that pitching, that could be an interesting game. I feel like Green River's a much better team than 14, just based on playing in the region they do. They have 10 games that are against 4 of the top 4 teams, or all 4 of the top 4 teams in the state. Wayne County Draper APA, that one is going to be an interesting game. I don't know. APA, if they throw their better pitcher, that they've got a chance against Wayne County for sure. And even though that, in my mind, they were opposite until Bryce Valley beat them and APA beat ICS. So that's going to be a good game. And then Bryce Valley and Camp Williams, looking at the run differential and stuff, I think Bryce Valley will advance there. But
so that's where I'm feeling like Bryce Valley probably advance. Just if they can get their bats going and play good defense, I think it'll be fine. I'm gonna hang my hat on the upset of this first round with Wayne advancing. I feel like in pressure situations, their coaching staff will have them ready to go. They play a tough schedule.
Look at David throwing the heat.
I'm
out the upset.
I'm throwing out the upset. I'm having Wayne advance. I feel like Valley, they do have some pitching options, even with a lower seed team. I feel like, they're playing good baseball right now, and they've lost some really close games. So I feel like they'll advance over Green River, although that could go either way. And I feel like ICS is well prepared and ready to roll for the tournament. I have them advancing, but for my upset of the tournament, I have number 10 over number 7, Wayne County advancing.
Which normally in like other, in like March Madness and all that stuff, that's usually a very favorable upset. So
yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, those two teams are close enough that it looks on paper like it's the reality is you have to rank them. But so on paper you do, but the reality is they're closer than the numbers there. The interesting thing for me on this bracket is Valley. So Valley and pitching decisions for, Friday to Tuesday, they're okay. But then Tuesday moving forward to Thursday, it'll really be what Valley can, what they have left in the bullpen.
Something I wanted to bring up, and then we'll get final thoughts and then sign off. Some comments have been coming in, mainly about like the rankings. I just want to preface by saying, and I know nobody's like yelled at us about the rankings. We didn't make the rankings. This is all
Right.
off the RPI. This is what the UHSAA sent to me. And so like someone said, tell me how Draper APA is ranked ahead of Pinnacle and Tintic. Who did they beat? Let's just say, so the way that the RPI works is that it's your winning percentage, and then your opponent's winning percentage, and then your opponent's winning percentage. So it's kind of like strength of schedule of who you face and then who your opponents have faced. So
I feel like they made a change in the RPI this year. I don't feel like it. I understand they made a change in the RPI, and I really feel like it's adjusted the bracket better, because last year ICS with only 3 losses on the season would have been ranked a number 2 or number 3, though your personal winning percentage was weighted heavier than your strength of schedule in the previous RPI. So last year ICS, what are they, 18-3?
mm-hmm. Yes,
they would have been ranked. I mean, that would have been the second best record in the state, right? Or tied with Panguitch almost for the best record.
It's actually a better. I mean, they would have. Let's see, Panguitch I think had 4 losses. No,
Panguitch
3.
was 19-3.
Same losses, just one more win for Panguitch.
Right. So based on last year's RPI, I feel like ICS would have been probably a 2 spot this year, but because their strength of schedule was so far down, that moved them down to a 6. And so that's a huge adjustment. And it probably is more realistic of where they are. They didn't play a Tindick. They didn't play Pinnacle. They played, you look at ICS's schedule, they played Aldemont and then the 2A schools. And they lost to Aldemont, I think 18 to 1.
Wow.
So it's really interesting. They may be, there may be an argument there, but based on their record, you have to give it some kind of value. Yeah, 15 to 1. Sorry, Intermountain Christian lost to Aldemont 15 to 1. That's really the only crossover game that you see on there. So it makes it tough.
And in 1A, we're the smallest schools. We don't have a lot of variety. It's long distances to travel. It's not, there's costs associated with that, and time and travel and out of the classroom time. And, it's just so tough in 1A because you can go from, how far was it? When you go, if you will go to an Altamont, that's clear up in northern Utah. I mean, it's 5-6 hour drive, probably.
It's 5 hours and 1 minute from Tropic to Aldemont.
So got to throw in the 1 minute.
Yeah, I think just the geographical locations makes it tough to have a lot of crossover games, but some would be good to really solidify the RPI. If you could have a little more crossover games between the northern teams and the southern, but hey, I get it. It's a tough scenario in 1A because you're so spread out and the different levels and the continuity from year to year. Some schools may have new players every single year, and you're kind of more rural communities. They have the same kids that have played since they were in T-ball, and so there's some real challenges I think to get over with that. But factoring in strength of schedule, I think, is a good thing too. So
I'll just tell you what, for those who have any kind of criticism over the rankings, I'll just say this: if teams feel slighted, just have that play, just have that go out onto the field. The play will do all the talking.
Yeah,
and if you're obviously if you actually feel like you should have been a higher seed, beat the teams in front of you, because in order to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah,
good point.
No question. It's and I get it when you're looking at it and you're like, hey, ICS is playing American Heritage, and if you're a Pinnacle or Tindick, you're like, I would like to play either one of those teams instead of who we're playing. But it is what it is. You got to have some kind of ranking system, and I do feel like the changes they made this year were huge in getting it more correct, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys can catch David and Mike's coverage starting with the second round at Maple Mountain High School on Tuesday, October 7th, beginning at 9 a.m. with the winner of Bryce Valley in Camp Williams taking on Draper APA and Wayne. They will also take you through the quarterfinals on Thursday the 9th, the semifinals on Friday the 10th, and the championship series on October 11th, all at Dixie High School in St. George. And you can catch all the games right here on KSLSports.com. Mike, David, thank you guys for joining us on the main voyage of the Bracket Reveal Show live here on KSL Sports.
Thank you,
Trevor. We appreciate our partnership, and we love working with KSL. We love this 1A sports, and we're biased, but it's the best. 1A sports is incredible.
Well, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for providing a platform that people can see. We talked about travel. It's the same way for our rural communities. We're so far out. It's a huge expense for these families to get, and KSL provides a platform where they can, if they can't get there, they can watch the game. So thank you for providing that and making an opportunity for us.
Exactly.
Well, you guys also do a great job. You guys will also catch these guys doing basketball coming up in the winter. So obviously all of your 1A coverage is with Utah High School Sportscast with Mike and David. So again, for Mike and David, I'm Trevor Allen saying thank you for watching the 1A Fall Baseball Bracket Reveal Show on KSLSports.com.